Pittsburgh Penguins having a difficult start to the 2023, 2024, 2025, whatever the hell this season is. It's been a rough start for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Once again, Sidney Crosby is carrying this team, but is he going to get any support behind him? We're going to take a look at the Penguins today, their early season struggles, and we kind of expected that going into this season. We're going to take a look at all of that here today and just why the Penguins are struggling. So the Pittsburgh Penguins 5-7-2 to start this season. This team obviously has found a way to score goals this season, but now they're also having the problem where they're giving up a lot of goals. This team is 14th in the NHL for goals for this season. That's 14 goals this season, but they have also given up 54 goals this season, which puts them just second last in the National Hockey League. They're 31st in the National Hockey League right now. Not good enough. And, obviously there's some key contributing factors to that. We're going to take a look at that today. I was able to watch the Penguins live the other night. They took on my New York Islanders at UBS Arena, and that was an ugly game. And I'm sure the Penguins fans were just as frustrated as the Islander fans were watching that atrocity of a hockey game. You look back the last couple years, it's a good, more so for the Islanders, but there's been some good playoff series between these two teams over the last decade. And, the version that we're seeing here in 2024 of those teams is quite a bit different than what we saw here over the last, really since 2016. For the Penguins here, it's one of those things where they really need to win that game. And you look at their schedule here over the next couple of days, it doesn't get any easier for them. They take on Carolina. They think they take on Tampa. It's a really difficult schedule. You had to find a way to win this game. They kind of dropped it. And, I'm obviously my little bit of Islander bias here, but, that goal that Crosby scored is probably offside in all reality. And those are situations you have to take advantage of. And they not only scored that goal, but they scored the power play goal because of the challenge by the Islanders, and they still managed to lose that game. There's just no excuse for that for the Penguins. You have to find a way. You have a late lead in the third period, up 3-1 against an Islanders team that cannot score goals. And they found a way to score two there down the stretch. It's one of those things where if you're the Penguins, you're just left asking yourself, what else can we do here? This team is led by Sidney Crosby. We know that. But they need to find a way to get a little bit more there. And it was nice to see Gino Malkin get on the board. It was nice to see Michael Bunting get on the board the other night. But they still gave up the goals. They're scoring 3-4 goals a game, but they're giving up just as many, if not more, and ultimately losing these games. And, especially against the Islanders, you can't lose in a shootout to the Islanders. The Islanders are notoriously terrible in shootouts, and when you have a guy like Sidney Crosby on your side and Evgeny Malkin on your side, there's no logical reason behind it. And, even Letang, I know a lot of Penguins fans were frustrated about Letang taking that third shot for the Penguins in the shootout. And, kind of poor execution by all of the Penguins, it kind of looked like in that shootout. They all kind of looked a little bit like that's the shot you took, even Crosby. And the Islanders kind of got lucky with that one, putting it through Ned. But again, that's been the other storyline for this Penguins team. And I feel like this is all deja vu because I just made a video about the team down the road there in Philly. Philadelphia Flyers are having very similar problems here to the Pittsburgh Penguins in just a different way. The goaltending for both of these teams just hasn't been good enough. And yeah, does Matt Nieto and Brian Rust being out hurt? Yeah. But are those difference makers that are really going to, if they were back in the lineup, would that magically make the Penguins better? Absolutely not. And, I think an interesting stat to look at here, their power play is always pretty good. It's 22.5%. That's pretty solid. That's above league average, puts them in the top probably 15. Penalty kill is right toward the top of the league. Top 5 at 85% compared to the league's 79% average. So, this is one of those things for the Penguins where their special teams is actually pretty good. They're scoring a decent amount of goals. I mean, just, the production from Malkin and Crosby, everyone's talking about the decline of Malkin, but he's got 16 points in 14 games, and he's actually got more points than Sid this year. He's got 15. And Raquel coming back, he's been good this season. He's already got 11 points this year, so that's really promising. And that's where you look at for the Penguins, those guys are doing their job. they're doing what they're supposed to do, but then it's just a drop off from there. And that's really where things get concerning here for the Penguins because, through 14 games this season, Drew O'Connor, who's been kind of an in and out player in the top 6 and bottom 6, he's got 4 points this season, right? Like, that's not going to cut it. He's a -10, leading the team in the minus category. Not good enough. Like, those are the guys you really need to step up. And I know that they've got guys like Valtteri Puustinen in there. Hopefully, we're going to see a little bit more of Matt Nieto here, either around American Thanksgiving or into early December. He's on the road trip, I think, right now with the Penguins down in Carolina. So we'll see how that goes. But like I said, does that really even matter that much right now for the Penguins? They need to find the depth scoring from everybody. It's got to be scoring by committee. And, I love how Crosby kind of 2 weeks ago came out and was talking about, taking accountability. I need to be better and this and that. And then he goes out and has a 3-point night, and the Penguins still lose. And even in this one, he gets the first goal of the game, and they still lose. Like, these are the things where if you're a Penguins fan, you're just left pulling your hair out. Like, he's doing everything he can possibly do. He's in the final years of his career, and this is the best we have to show for it. It's just unacceptable for the Penguins. There's just no rhyme or reason beyond it. And when you look at their record here, they're not able to string together a bunch of wins back to back, which obviously is a concern. They, kind of were win 1, lose 1, win 2, lose 2 through the first 2 weeks of the season. Then obviously they had that 6-game losing streak at the end of October, which really hurt this team. They finally get 2 wins at home against Anaheim and Montreal. Those are games you have to win. And then a game against the Islanders, you probably need to win. They lose that one. And now you have to play the rest of this road trip. If you want to go 2 of 3 on this road trip, you got to go down to Carolina, beat the Hurricanes, and then on the second night of a back-to-back, go into Washington, which they're probably the hottest team in the Metropolitan Division right now. So, just to put things in perspective here for the Penguins is this team, the games you have to win, you got to win those. And then if you can toss up and kind of see how you match up against the better teams, great. But the next 3 games are going to be quite difficult in Carolina, Washington, and then finally they come back home. They play the Dallas Stars, who are one of the better teams in the Western Conference. This is one of those things where you got to pick up points when they come to you. It's good they were able to get at least a point in that Islanders game, that sloppy mud pit of a game between those two. At least they got a point. They at least deserved a point, I guess. I don't think either team, in all honesty, I don't think either team deserved any points after that game. But for the Penguins, they stay alive. They're still slightly better than the Flyers, which you could hang that on your head. But, the month of December is going to be pretty kind. Once they get out of this 3-game stretch on the road, the next time they play back-to-back games on the road is going to be December 12th and December 14th when they go to Montreal and Ottawa. That's a month from now. That's more than a month from now where they have back-to-back road games. So this is a great opportunity at home. They have a couple of pretty close road games, too. There's nothing in the Western Conference. Their road games through the next month are, again, against the Rangers at the Garden, against Boston at TD Garden, and then they have to head to Columbus. Now, neither of those 3 games is going to be easy, especially with the way Columbus has come out of the gate. They've been pretty good. The Boston Bruins are starting to turn things around, but they've had some adversity. And then that game against the Rangers, that's going to be a good litmus test for this team. Like, what does this team look like after that Ranger game on December 6th? That's going to be a big test for this Pittsburgh Penguins team. And hopefully they're able to string together a couple of wins here against pretty good hockey teams. This is not going to be easy for them, but at least they're going to be at home. They're going to be well rested. And like I said, you're going to get a little bit of support here, hopefully, from Matt Nieto very soon. But you got to figure out that goaltending, because none of this matters if you're giving up 6 goals a game. And when you look at the goaltending right now, it hasn't been pretty. Maybe not 6 goals a game, but it's been pretty ugly overall. Tristan Jarry gave up 3 through the first 3 games of his season. He had an .836 save percentage. He got sent down, and you see how the lighting just completely changed there outside. I apologize if it's a little bit weird there. Nedeljkovic has been slightly better. He's through 6 games. He's got a .900 save percentage. And then Joel Blomqvist, who has got a .909 save percentage, but he's also giving up a lot of goals with that save percentage. So, it's one of those things. For the Penguins, like I said, I feel like I'm just repeating myself at this point. This is a team that has a lot of issues behind that behind Malkin and Crosby. And unfortunately, as much as they're trying to keep things afloat with this team and keep things kind of just rolling, you got to add more scoring depth. And the defense isn't good enough. The goaltending isn't good enough. That combination of everything right now, if the Penguins want to legitimately make the playoffs this year, you can't squeak in. You can't backdoor your way in the Eastern Conference this year, because not only do you have teams in your own division, the Capitals are better, the Devils are better than they were last year. Then you have the Islanders, who are right around the Penguins level right now. Oh yeah, and then in the East, the other side in the Atlantic, you do have pretty decent teams that think they can make the playoffs this year in Buffalo, Ottawa, and not Montreal. Buffalo, Ottawa, and Detroit. And this is kind of the situation when you have that many teams, basically 5 teams fighting it out for maybe one playoff spot. They're in the East, the 8th spot. There's going to be a lot of disappointed teams. You really have to stand out if you want to be that other team that gets in. And we'll see how things go. But I'd love to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of the Penguins? Could they make the playoffs this year? What adjustments do you think they need to make? Do you see them maybe going out there and picking up a defenseman, or do they maybe pick up a goaltender? I mean, John Gibson, hometown Pittsburgh boy. Could they try and go out and get Gibson and Fowler, Cam Fowler and John Gibson in a package? I don't know. I'd love to know what you guys think down below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time. Peace out, guys.